Hi, intrepid viewers. Dr. Lena coming to you all the way from Australia. It's already Friday here. Excuse me. But I just wanted to offer my condolences. The vandals in the White House. And obviously, it's distressing to any thinking, caring American. Symbolically, there it is, the light on the hill, and even from other parts of the world. It's shocking to see the East Wing virtually demolished. And he's just on this demented roll, this Louis XVI obsession with gold and a stupid ballroom. What's he going to do? The YMCA dance in the ballroom and then turning the rose garden into the pet cemetery. It is really destructive. And of course, there was no discussion of historical preservation. Just wheel in the wrecker, bring it in. I'd like to know here, because it's certainly symbolic, will this actually impact voters? Or do MAGA think that's okay because everything's okay? I mean, I want to get a sense, I guess, as an outsider. I mean, I'm also an insider. I digest this stuff 7 days a week. But from an outside perspective, what's going on? What's the impressions people are getting? What is the message being sent? And most importantly, will this move people? Let's go. Just a quick dive into delayed reaction. Well, these cards just say to me that if nothing else has moved the dial, this isn't going to suddenly be a flashpoint, which it actually, in another context, should be or could be. So it's not going to be a flashpoint, unfortunately. So there's also a delay here in the sense of it's happening very quickly. The Rose Garden was one thing. The ballroom, I don't know where we all thought the ballroom was going to be, but not that it would take up the entire of the West Wing. It will do him some damage, but people feel they have bigger fish to fry or something. Please let me know in the comments what you feel about this outrage. But the thing with the temperance card is balance, harmony, moderation. But it's not coming through with this. There's no balance, harmony, or moderation. Therefore, the reverse of that. It's all right for the wealthy because they'll pay 200,000 to be the first in the new ballroom or whatever. So no, it's not impacting on the ground. Well, as much as it should. Any American with a brain and a heart would be distraught, and I understand how you guys must feel. But MAGA, you know, now MAGA can't be impressed with the 20 billion to Argentina. I don't know if they even know yet, but it's doubled. It's 40 billion. But because the world is dealing with a mob boss, that comes with lots and lots of strings. The main string being he has said in a tweet, which is how he rules, which I still can't get used to even after all these years, saying to Argentinians, you'll only get the bailout if you vote in Malay again. Well, that's causing righteous outrage in Argentina. This is interfering in foreign elections. Elon does it routinely. He does it, the Yeti, I mean, every day of the week. But other countries are getting jack of it, as we say in Australia. When you're really pissed off, you've had it, So on top of that, he's given away two of the biggest US agricultural markets. US farmers have not sold a single soybean, okay? Not zippity doo dah to China or anywhere else, as far as I know. But now the beef. So he's giving Malay this money, plus a new market in soybeans, which will go to China, plus a new market in beef into the US. And he goes on, this is his gift and his grift. He went on some news service and said that's why the beef farmers, the ranchers, are doing so well now. He just gaslights up front. It is staggering to behold. So that leads us into how what he considers the deal is actually a bullying attack, right? But let me tell you, it's not going down well in Asia. And I want to have a quick look at Asia. Now, Japan just last week has its first female prime minister. That should make me happy somewhere in my ancient feminist heart, but it doesn't because she's a Margaret Thatcher. However, she's come in on the populist nationalist thing. Everyone is retreating to their own national borders, which is whatever it is. Now, with her, she has said no, we are not investing. She just made the announcement, I think it was yesterday. You know, that money that the previous Prime Minister of Japan said he'd invest in the US, we're not going to do it. Korea, after the Hyundai experience, has said we're not going to do it. China has said, why are you still ringing us? We are not submitting to these bully tactics. No, we're not investing. Okay, so this is massive, absolutely massive, and it realigns the entire world. So instead of the US being the center of everything, as it's been, only for 80 years, it's not the longest empire ever, for 80 years, superpower status. The BRICS countries that were hoping to take some of that trade excess and have claw back a bit of power to share amongst different world blocs, it was seen as pie in the sky. Now, the Yeti has made it happen. So I want to see were the Asia, how Asia is feeling about the US right now. How is Asia feeling? And that's also Chinese students, Indian students have been pushed out of the higher education system. It's not going down well in the rest of the world. And when you're under siege like you guys are, it's sometimes hard to look up over the parapet and see what's happening in the rest of the world. Let's have a look, Asia. Asia's making plans, right? Asia's making plans. It starts with the Five of Cups, this feeling of dejection and rejection. Well, it's not just a feeling. The Yeti spat in the world's face with the stupid Liberation Day announcements. It was shocking. It was shocking to the rest of the world. So apart from tariffing penguins and threatening to take over Greenland and all the things that were happening at the same time, this impacted Asia. Now, three cups down, that's lost trade, compromised trade, lack of trade movement because of the shock and awe tactic. Well, it wasn't a tactic, it was just a vomit in the middle of the night. But the net result is truly shocking. Two cups are up. The Asian superpowers themselves are making very, very distinct plans to avoid, to cut out essentially the US. and that's moving forward really, really quickly. It's moving on train tracks, if you like. This is the quick movement. This is the realignment of Asian powers that have traditionally been enemies with each other. But he has pushed them into each other's cleavage and made these realignments happen. They're making long-term plans. Now, long-term plans involve, of course, the rare earth minerals. Now, any country, including Australia, the US, or anything, can source rare earth minerals from other places, but they can't refine them. China dominates the refining process. So this is the long haul, the pentacle, almost a Bitcoin, right? This is long haul stuff. They're sick of the lies. They're just sick of it. Now, politicians, ambassadors, diplomats, attaches, and stuff have always been the masters and mistresses of international doublespeak. Okay, but this is different. This is outright lies. Okay. And Asia is moving forward, this Queen of Wands. This is strategic. This is planning. This is not letting the grass grow under your feet. Right. This is also quite dynamic, new trade deals that are going to emerge in Asia. I mean, it's like he's doing everything possible because he feels uber powerful and he's a malignant narcissist. He feels that he's actually undermining the entire empire, actually visibly in front of our eyes. It's staggering. It's staggering. So it's really important for you guys because this will all impact the value of the dollar going forward and stuff. So it's really, really important to keep focus on this stuff, even if it's painful. Now, a bit closer to home from the US point of view, Sam Altman, he's the founder of OpenAI, and he doesn't have the need to sort of put himself front and center in a way the muskrat does, but he's massively powerful. So he has now admitted, to top-level financial journals, he doesn't expect AI to make money until 2029. Right, so he and six other companies, that's a total of seven companies, own, what is it, about a third, just seven companies own about a third of the Fortune 500 identified pots of wealth in the world. So what Sam Altman thinks and does is actually critically important. Excuse me. Now, you've launched this huge new thing. You're Sam Altman, right? And you know it's not going to make money for X years. How do you fund your operations that are massively expensive? You get investors, right? And this is what's keeping the stock market, I would argue, artificially afloat. This is what is keeping the stock market going. However, MIT did a study recently, and of the AI pilot companies that have invested, now 95% are reporting failure. That's failure, not just not doing marvelously. So do you see what I'm trying to say? There's this disconnect between the tech bro fantasy. Oh, people will swarm in, everyone wants to be on the new hot thing. But there's not a payoff for another 4 or 5 years. But because they do these shiny things to lure you in, you don't read the fine print. Okay. So let's have a look at that. This admission from Sam Altman that AI is only going to cost money for the next 4 or 5 years. It's only going to cost. Okay, let's have a look. Stock market. I want to see. The stock markets notoriously rely and run on optimism. It's going to be great. So, how's this going to affect the stock market? Oh dear, oh dear. This couldn't be clearer. Okay, so it's it's not new. I mean, people were talking about AI decades ago, but you can sense it's on the horizon, brand new day. So people are taking a leap of faith. Oh, it'd be great. I can get rid of all those human workers and get AI. I can make a fortune. There's never any shortage of takers for the new shiny thing. This is those with more wealth who have invested. So they're not as naive, but they want to be in on the ground floor, right? So this is people who have serious money, portfolio investors, right? And so they've put quite a lot of money into this. They're not going to get all that money back. They might get 40 cents on the dollar. They might get 2 cents on the dollar. There's going to be a massive compromise and sell off before it crashes. It could crash before it actually returns money to investors. Well, it's, do you guys know the story of the tulip bubble? Famously, Amsterdam in the 1600s or whatever was a center of massive global trade. They discovered the East Indies and the spice trade and that massive wealth that came from that. And somewhere along the line, tulips became unimaginably valuable. People were spending the equivalent of, 2 weeks' pay on a single tulip. People were losing their houses because they bought tulips. It was madness. It was a folly. But it's like that's what we're looking at. It's crazy times. Now, in the good news column, Gavin Newsom, he's going to deploy the National Guard and roll out 100 food banks. It's so good there's some functioning human out there in the ranks. So let me know, please, in the comments. Oops, what's happening with food banks in your district? Let me know. Now, um, I think what's happening, surely the Dems, and by the Dems in this context, I'm talking about the highest echelon Dems, the Democratic Committee and the heavyweights, Schumer, Jeffries, are they getting the message? I'm still not seeing them come out because their job should be really easy. All they have to do is come out every day and remind people of the obvious, and say, look, this is what's happening. You're paying the tariffs. You're losing your health care. It's all being taken away. Can we please join together and stop the madness? Start talking about it in terms of crazy, not just the other side. They're doing this and we're doing that. No, no. Just say it. Stop the madness. I mean, all sectors can happen. Now, let's go international again. The Yetis now decided to put more oil sanctions on Russia. You wouldn't want to be his friend, would you? You get spat out of the nest at a moment's notice. This is very bad because already Russia is rationing fuel, huge queues for fuel. Um, my question now is people must be getting sick of the war. The point is, all the state revenue is going into the war. People can't get petrol or heating. Um, could it lead to regime change in Russia? Which would be an unintended consequence for the Yeti, who can't put two consecutive points together in his head, right? He can't. So could he accidentally lead Russia into regime change? Could the people rise up? Let's see what's happening in Russia. Let's see. It's a balancing act. All right. I don't think it's going to be like really immediate. People, they probably have to get through this horrendous Russian winter. Anyway, at the moment, Putin is walking a tightrope. He's vulnerable. He's notoriously paranoid, but he's also vulnerable here. I love this card. It's, this is, I think, Russian young people, maybe. Is it still the case that vodka is cheaper than milk in Russia? Probably not. It was probably one of those myths in the first place. But young Russians are just totally disenchanted here. It's a struggle. People carrying everything they own on their backs. This is really tough for the Russian people. Because he's notoriously paranoid, as an opposition grows, he'll start more authoritarian behavior of being suspicious of people meeting and so forth. You see here too, these two cards go together in my mind. So this is sending uniformed lackeys out to intimidate. And this, I think, is an oligarch meeting an ordinary citizen. The oligarchs want him gone because oligarchs only want to make money, and Russia's not making it. So I think the oligarchs will start to lend support if a leader emerges. It might be Navalny's wife or whatever. She might get the backing of one or more seriously wealthy oligarchs, right? Okay, awesome. Now, you guys, let's look here. I just want to say a little finishing touch on the Epstein saga. We'll keep revisiting it. Do you remember I said months ago, it won't be so much who is in the files. Yes, there'll be some scandalous things, but it's what they request, what they had. These poor young things do is what's going to be shocking. Do you remember? I said that on another video. It's not the who, it's the what. And now Giffre's book is out, some of those details. Let's just have a quick look. Are we going to hear about the boys? We've heard about the underage girls. Are we going to hear about the boys? Are we going to hear about the boys? Yes, I think we are. So, this is someone who is wounded. I think this represents the boys who would now be, in their late 30s or 40s or whatever, who haven't spoken up yet. And as a sociologist and psychologist know and stuff, if you think of the priests and all the horror that happened with the Catholic clergy, girls came forward before the boys came forward. We need to create a safe place for those men to come forward. I think this is someone asking, have we done enough to hide this? Because I think this might be more shocking to the pearl clutching Christian nationalists than some of the other details. Yeah, I think it could be quite crushing to the Christians. Very emotional. It's going to be very emotional once we hear from those young men. All right, my darlings. So I'll be back soon. Sorry if this was a bit of a downer, just hard in this current climate to come up with juicy things. Um, because everyone, including podcasters, are constantly assaulted in this way. Like every day, your news feed is full of unmitigated horror. So it's trying to provide a way of talking about it. Um, but I'll definitely make an effort next time to not sort of spend so much time in the anguish and look at more things that are positive to do, how to handle the drama. Let me know what you think in the comments. So if you haven't seen it, my conversation with Erica Robinson is available on her. They're always interesting, no cards and so forth. And also Beekeeper's Tarot. I did a session with Alan, who's um, one of my favorite people, and I want to shout out to Igor at the same time. So blessings, guys. See you soon. Ciao for now.